Chapter 16, The Royal Letter. It's brilliant. Genius. If that doesn't work, then nothing will. Michael, Tom and Josie all looked pretty impressed when I explained the greatest idea in the world to them on the bus to school on the next day. Tom looked down at my diagram and eagerly pointed to the letter and pencil. This bit's easy, he said, but do you think she'll really get it? I nodded. She has to. It's the Royal Mail. So she has to get all the letters. It's the law. But she's the Queen. What if she does not come home because she's somewhere else doing her duties and things and she just doesn't get it in time? Asked Michael. It's already Friday, remember? Michael was right. The greatest idea in the world would only work if the Queen was at home. She was always on the news going to lots of places to collect flowers from people. And I hadn't thought about what we would do if she didn't get the letter at all. It's okay, said Josie reassuringly. If we post the letter today, then it'll get to her house by tomorrow morning. Tomorrow's only Saturday, and the gates don't close until next Friday. That gives us 6 whole days. So if she's not home, her butler will open the letter instead, and he'll let her know that she needs to come home right away to talk to the special police and the Prime Minister. Yes, said Michael, exactly. Yeah, it's going to be brilliant, said Tom, as we jumped off the bus and walked to the school gates. There's no way she won't help us, not after she reads about Ahmed. But he mustn't find out, said Michael, tripping over his shoelaces, too excited to stop and tie them up. Yeah, I nodded. He can't know, not until we're really sure that the Queen has found his parents. Don't worry, we can keep it a secret. And maybe if it does work, then we'll all get to meet the Queen, grinned Tom. I'll have to get more gel if we do, he added, stiffening his hair, with his fingers as if he was spikier than ever. Maybe we'll all get a medal for helping to keep the gates open, said Josie, kicking her football along. And Ahmed too, for being brave. Michael smiled. His smile always goes to one side when he's thinking about something that makes him really, really happy. It must be because he's so happy that his mouth doesn't know which way to go. Yeah, he nodded. One of those star-shaped medals. And if we did get one, we could pin it on our jumpers every day, or if it's on a ribbon, we could wear it around our necks, he said, touching the collar of his jumper. I tried to imagine that what it'd be like to meet the Queen and get given the star-shaped medal. But the thought made me go blank and I couldn't imagine anything at all. Sometimes a thought is so big that I can't squeeze it all in itself into my head no matter how hard I try. And the more I try, the more it makes my head ache. Uncle Lenny says that's where headaches all come from. When you've tried to think too many thoughts or a giant thought tries to get in, but it's too big to fit. He gets headaches all the time because he says that there's no one in the taxi with him. He doesn't have anything else to do but to drive all around all night and think about deep thoughts and they light up his mind. Maybe that's why the front of his head is always so shiny. I didn't want to get a headache, so I left the thought of the star-shaped medal alone. All that day, whenever we knew Ahmed couldn't hear us, we talked about the greatest idea in the world and all the ways the Queen might help him and his family too. Ahmed caught up his whispering together in the playground though and looked at us in a confused way. What are you saying? He asked, looking at all of us. Nothing, said Michael nervously. We were just talking about homework, said Josie. A big homework, I added quickly, crossing my fingers behind my back. Your homework is small and easy, see? And ours is big, lots more. Okay, said Ahmed slowly, but I didn't think he sounded like he believed us. After what, we all whispered an agreement not to speak about the plan until home time, which was when we planned to write the royal letter. But it seemed that the more excited we got about putting the greatest idea in the world into action, the longer it took for the day to pass, and that afternoon felt like the longest afternoon any of us had ever had. I kept looking up at the classroom clock to see if its hands had moved, and I could see Tom and Michael and Josie doing the same thing. Then finally, just as we were about to give up hope of ever reaching 3:15, the school bell rang and home time, and Mrs. Khan said, "Right, everyone, off you go. See you all on Monday." We all hurriedly waved bye to Ahmed, and then, going off with him to meet his foster mum, like we usually did, we ran to the bus stop as fast as we could. There was a wall behind the bus stop, just for long enough to fit 5 people. After we all sat down, Josie gave me a yellow piece of paper, and then she had taken from the class tray, and which was brand new, and Tom gave me his very best handwriting pen to use, and Michael gave me his workbook to lean on. He guessed he would have had to miss 2 buses home, but it didn't matter. Not when we were trying to write the most royal letter any of us had ever written before. Everyone said I should write it because I was the best at spelling. I was pretty nervous. But Tom and Josie and Michael all helped me choose what to say, and in the end, it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. This is what the royal letter looked like. Your Royal Majesty of the United Queendom of England. Please, Mrs. Majesty, there is a new boy in our class called Ahmed, and he's a refugee boy from Syria, where there is a war, and lots of bullies throwing bombs and hurting people. Ahmed had to get on a boat and walked a long way to come to our school, and had to leave his mum and dad behind his tent in tents too. Ahmed needs to find them before the government closes all the gates. We thought, because you own the country, and the police and the Prime Minister have to listen to you, that you could please ask your special police and Prime Minister to keep all the gates open and help Ahmed find his family. We know the gates will close on Friday, so this is an emergency. You can find us at Nelson Primary School, and Mrs. Khan is our teacher, and Mr. Hemsey is Ahmed's special teacher. Please let us know if you can help as soon as you get this letter. Love from me, 9 3/4, Tom, 9, Michael, 9 1/2, and Josie, 9 1/4. When we had finished, Michael held it up to the light and gave it a nod. I don't really know why people like holding things up to the light. I guess it's because they want to see through them and make sure they're okay. I was glad because even though my writing had gone wonky, everyone said it looked good. It was the longest letter I had ever written in one go, and my hand felt sore, so I jumped off the wall and jiggled it about. In the distance, I could see the bus coming. Have you got a new envelope to put in? And stamps? Asked Tom anxiously as we got onto the bus. Yeah, Mum's got loads, I said, and I'll post it by 5 o'clock in the postbox in front of my flat. But don't forget to write special letter on the envelope in purple colouring pen, said Josie. Purple's her favourite colour. And make sure the stamp says first on it and Michael. When I got home that afternoon, while Mrs. Abbey was making me fish fingers for my tea, I quietly pulled open the big top drawer in the large chest standing in our living room. This drawer is called our used less things drawer, because it's always full of things we have lost, or, but hardly ever used, like paper clips and spare staples and elastic bands and sellotape and bright yellow post-it notes and bits of blank paper. I found an envelope and then carefully took out Mum's small wooden stamp box. Inside it are all the nearly new stamps that Mum collected from letters she had been sent in the post. Most stamps are marked with something called a postmark, which means you can't use them again, but sometimes there aren't. When that happens, Mum claps her hands like it's Christmas, and carefully peels the stamp away so that it looks just as brand new as possible, and then she puts her stamp in a box. I picked out 3 that had the nicest pictures with the colour purple on them and a first on the corner. I knew that most letters just had 1 stamp on them, but I thought 3 might make the letter get to the Queen faster, especially since there was a chance I might miss the 5 o'clock post, trying to keep things a secret when there was a grown-up around, always making everything twice as long. I told Mrs. Abbey I was doing my homework early and coloured in lots of purple swirls on the front of the envelope, and then, just before I put the letter inside it, I thought the Queen should know about Ahmed's sister and the sea. So I wrote, P.S. Ahmed had a little sister called Sarah, but she died in the sea, so he needs to find his mum and dad even more especially. Please keep this a secret. I knew what had happened to Ahmed's sister was a secret, but last year Mr. Thompson told us that the Queen has to keep state secrets, and if she can keep secrets about the state of everything, I knew she could keep Ahmed's secret safe for him too.